Prince Alaric stood in the abandoned castle wing as thunder rolled outside and wind clawed through broken windows. His hand shook when the sealed oak door creaked open and a cold whisper called his name. Prince Alaric said, "Who dares call me?" The unseen voice hissed, "The truth you seek lies in the dark." His heart pounded as he stepped forward with torch raised high. The stone walls shivered with echoes while glowing runes burned across the frame. Dust spiraled upward like restless spirits as the mist inside the chamber curled to meet him. Prince Alaric whispered, "This place should not exist." The flame trembled as though trying to escape. The ancient chamber breathed alive, and shadows stirred like they had waited centuries. Seraphina ran barefoot across damp forest ground as her scream echoed through trees twisted like claws. She cried, "Please, someone help me." Fog clung like chains and wolves howled in the distance. "I need ye, Harry." Her lantern flickered as unseen eyes glimmered in underbrush. Seraphina stumbled, clutching the lantern against her chest. She whispered, "I must not fall, I must not stop." Her golden hair whipped across her terrified face as branches tore her down. The forest rustled behind her as though something followed her steps. Each breath grew sharp, each step swallowed by silence. Seraphina's heart raced louder than her voice. Sir Cedric dropped his sword with a clang that echoed like thunder. He said, "My brother, why?" Sir Dorian stood before him with dagger in hand and a smirk carved in cruelty. Firelight from torches painted shadows across banners of their kingdom. Sir Cedric's eyes widened in grief as loyalty bled away. Sir Dorian said, "The crown deserves truth, not loyalty." Sir Cedric's breath caught and his voice trembled. His heart broke at betrayal cut deeper than steel. That hall became the grave of their brotherhood as silence drowned the fallen sword. A deep bell tolled across valleys and villages, stirring peasants from restless sleep. An old crone muttered, "It begins again." Inside, the castle courtiers froze in dread. Prince Alaric stared from a high window at the tower where the bell swung. He whispered, "A warning or a curse?" Each strike of the bell grew heavier than the last, until the walls seemed to tremble. Fires flickered across hearths, while servants whispered prayers. The sound did not bring safety but a promise of doom. Prince Alaric pressed a hand to the window as lightning carved his shadow across the stone. Fear spread across the kingdom like fire through dry fields. Farmers stopped working, and children clung to mothers. In the markets, whispers replaced trade. Inside the castle, Prince Alaric walked the corridor with a heavy gaze. He thought, "What did I awaken?" Elias hurried beside him and said, "My lord, you look pale." Prince Alaric muttered, "The kingdom is shifting, I feel it in the stones." Elias looked at torches along the wall as they flickered together in rhythm. The air seemed to shiver like the castle itself whispered warning. Prince Alaric clenched his jaw, but dread followed each step. Prince Alaric sat alone in the candlelit chamber, his head lowered as shadows stretched across the floor. His breath trembled as he whispered, "The voice follows me even now." He pressed his palm against the table, trying to steady himself. The fire sputtered as if listening to his words. Prince Alaric muttered, "The kingdom is cursed through me." His reflection in the darkened glass looked hollow, almost foreign. He tightened his jaw and struck the table, yet doubt drowned his strength. Prince Alaric said, "I was once their hope, now I am their fear." The storm outside battered the windows, echoing his turmoil. The weight of prophecy suffocated him. His crown felt heavier than iron, and his silence screamed louder than thunder. Master Eldrin stepped into the chamber, robes brushing the floor, his silver beard glistening in firelight. His voice carried calm power as he said, "The darkness feeds on your doubt, not your destiny." Prince Alaric lifted his head slowly, eyes bloodshot. He muttered, "You knew it would come for me." Master Eldrin placed a hand on his staff and replied, "I knew the curse would seek the strongest heart." Prince Alaric said, "I am not strong enough." The mentor's gaze softened, yet sorrow lingered in his voice. Strength is not freedom from fear, Alaric, but the will to stand despite it. Silence stretched between them as thunder struck. Elias hurried down the corridor, boots striking stone as he caught Prince Alaric outside the hall. Elias said, "You look pale, my friend." Prince Alaric answered, "The whispers drag me into shadow." Elias shook his head with determination. "Then I will drag you back into the light." Prince Alaric gave a faint smile, the only warmth piercing his dread. Elias placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "You saved me once when no one believed I was worth saving. Now I will stand for you." Alaric's throat tightened as hope flickered faintly in his chest. He muttered, "Elias, I may lose myself." Elias replied, "Then I will not let you fall alone." Lady Selene entered the courtyard cloaked in moonlight, her silver dress flowing as her eyes locked with Prince Alaric. She said, "You should not walk alone tonight." Prince Alaric whispered, "Even the night whispers to me." Lady Selene's expression faltered with sorrow, yet she stepped closer. "You cannot carry the curse without breaking." Alaric turned sharply, his voice tense. "Why do you risk being here? You know what they will say if they see us." Lady Selene replied, "Let them say what they will. My loyalty is my own." Their hands nearly touched, trembling with forbidden longing as the moon glared down like a judge. From the high balcony, Lord Caelan leaned upon the railing, his gaze piercing as he watched Prince Alaric walk below. Lord Caelan whispered, "He weakens by the day." His lips curled into a faint smile. In the shadows behind him, cloaked servants whispered in agreement. Caelan's voice carried the smoothness of false counsel. "I will stand by the prince," he said aloud, yet his eyes glimmered with deceit. "But the throne may soon need steadier hands." The wind tugged his cloak, as though revealing his true face. Caelan pressed his hand to his chest with mock loyalty, but ambition thundered louder than any vow. Whispers echoed through the grand hall as courtiers exchanged anxious glances. Prince Alaric entered, his steps heavy, and every voice fell silent. He said, "You think I do not hear your doubts." A noblewoman lowered her eyes, trembling. Lord Caelan stepped forward, bowing smoothly. He said, "We only worry for the crown's strength, my prince." Prince Alaric's gaze burned with suspicion. Elias, standing at his side, muttered, "They plot behind your back." Alaric's jaw tightened as he scanned the room filled with shadowed faces. He said, "The kingdom's walls are strong, but its heart fractures." His words struck like steel, leaving unease to fester deeper. In the crowded marketplace, voices rose in hushed tones. Merchants whispered of omens, while peasants spoke of betrayal. An old man cried, "The prince brings doom upon us." Seraphina gripped her cloak tightly, her golden hair hidden beneath its hood. She muttered, "The people turn faster than fire on dry grass." Children clung to their mothers as guards tried to calm the chaos. Seraphina said, "Fear spreads quicker than truth." She watched as a villager hurled a stone at a banner bearing the royal crest, and gasps filled the air. Seraphina's heart sank, for loyalty was dying before her eyes. Lady Selene stood at the garden's edge as moonlight silvered her face. Prince Alaric approached, his steps echoing on stone. Lady Selene whispered, "You should not seek me here." Prince Alaric said, "I cannot trust the court. Only you understand." Her eyes softened, yet fear flickered beneath her calm. "If they knew, they would call me traitor." Alaric's voice cracked. "Then let them. I need your truth more than their loyalty." Lady Selene placed her hand gently on his arm. She said, "My loyalty is yours, but my heart is torn between love and duty." Silence swallowed their secret words. From the forest's edge, the guardian emerged cloaked in mist. The creature's antlers glowed faintly, and its eyes burned with ancient fire. Prince Alaric and Elias froze as the ground shivered beneath them. The guardian's voice rumbled, "The shadow grows, and your bloodline cannot outrun it." Prince Alaric said, "You know of my curse." The guardian tilted its head, voice low. "Your fate was carved long before your crown." Elias raised his blade, but the guardian's stare rooted him in place. Prince Alaric whispered, "Then tell me what I must do." The guardian answered, "To seek light, you must walk through ruin." Inside the throne room, Prince Alaric stood before the council, his eyes darkened by shadows no torch could dispel. Lord Kaelan smiled faintly, watching the shift. A noble whispered, "He no longer looks like himself." Prince Alaric gripped the arm of his chair tightly. He said, "I will protect this kingdom, even if the kingdom no longer trusts me." His voice carried both strength and threat. Elias glanced nervously at him. Lady Selene lowered her eyes, unable to meet his stare. The council fell silent, unsettled. Lord Kaelan whispered, "The Dark Prince rises." The words spread like poison through the hall. Lord Kaelan walked beside Prince Alaric through the shadowed corridors, his voice smooth as silk. He said, "The council doubts you, but I remain your truest ally." Prince Alaric glanced at him with weary suspicion. Alaric muttered, "You speak of loyalty while others whisper betrayal." Kaelan smiled faintly, placing a hand on his chest. "I stand only for your crown." Elias followed behind, his jaw tense as he watched the exchange. Elias whispered, "Be careful, my prince." Alaric's silence echoed louder than words. Lord Kaelan's eyes glimmered, hidden by dim torchlight, as his loyalty masked ambition. Prince Alaric stood before Master Eldrin in the library, surrounded by towering shelves of forgotten lore. Alaric muttered, "Every choice I make fractures the kingdom." Eldrin placed his hand on the staff and said, "The burden was never meant to be light." Prince Alaric's voice cracked, "Then why give it to me?" Eldrin's eyes lowered with sorrow. "Because fate does not choose the willing, but the necessary." Alaric struck the table with frustration, and dust rose from ancient tomes. "I cannot escape this curse," he said. Eldrin replied softly, "No, but you can bend it." The air thickened with unspoken truths. Elias hurried into the armory, his face pale. He whispered, "I heard them plotting in the council chamber." Prince Alaric turned sharply, his hand tightening around his sword's hilt. Alaric said, "Who dares?" Elias muttered, "Lord Kaelan speaks of your weakness. He says you will destroy us all." Prince Alaric's eyes darkened, fury burning beneath. He said, "Kaelan drapes himself in loyalty while hiding daggers." Elias nodded, voice breaking. "You cannot face both enemies and traitors alone." Alaric pressed his hand on Elias's shoulder. He said, "Then I will need you more than ever." Lady Selene waited in the rose garden, under pale moonlight. Her silver gown shimmered as Prince Alaric approached. She said, "You should not be here." Alaric whispered, "Without you, I am already lost." Her eyes glistened as she looked away. "You risk everything for me." Alaric grasped her hand, trembling. "They can take my crown, but they cannot take you." Lady Selene's voice broke. "Love cannot live where duty forbids." Alaric's lips brushed her knuckles, and for a fleeting moment, the world fell silent. Their closeness was both salvation and ruin, framed by the judging moon above them. Prince Alaric stood in his chamber, his reflection warped in the cracked mirror. His eyes burned darker, and his breath came heavy. He whispered, "The shadow feels like a part of me now." The torchlight flickered wildly, distorting his features into something monstrous. He struck the mirror with his fist, glass shattering across the floor. Alaric muttered, "If this is my fate, then let them fear it." His voice echoed with new weight, filled with menace and pain. Outside the door, Lord Kaelan listened with a hidden smirk. He whispered, "The prince will crown himself in shadow, and I will be ready." Master Eldrin stood before Prince Alaric in the candlelit chamber, his eyes heavy with unspoken truths. Alaric demanded, "You have guided me all these years, yet you hide something." Eldrin lowered his head, fingers tightening on his staff. He said, "The curse is bound to your blood, but I am the one who sealed it there." Alaric's chest heaved as fury rose. "You betrayed me before I was even born." Eldrin's voice trembled with regret. I thought binding it to you would save the kingdom, but I doomed you instead." Alaric's hands shook as the weight of his mentor's confession crushed his heart. Prince Alaric paced across the chamber, his voice cracking. "So my life was chosen as a prison." Master Eldrin's eyes welled with tears. "I sought to protect, but I chained you instead." Alaric struck the wall with his fist, stone dust falling. He shouted, "You condemned me to darkness." Eldrin whispered, "You are stronger than the curse, but my weakness placed this burden upon you." Alaric's breaths grew ragged, the torchlight flickering in rhythm with his anger. He muttered, "You are no guide, only a coward seeking redemption through me." Eldrin's silence admitted the truth no words could defend. Lady Selene stood trembling in the courtyard, her silver gown glowing under the moon. Prince Alaric approached, his eyes sharp with suspicion. He said, "Why do you look away from me?" Selene's voice broke. "Because my heart lies with you, but my blood binds me elsewhere." Alaric's voice darkened. "What have you done?" Tears streaked down her cheeks. "I betrayed you for my family's survival. They hold me in chains unseen." Alaric staggered back, whispering, "You were my only truth." Selene cried, "I never wished to hurt you, yet my silence was already betrayal." Their love fractured beneath the stars. Lord Kaelan entered the war chamber with the council gathered in fear. He spoke with measured calm. "Our prince is consumed by a shadow. He will bring ruin if unchecked." Nobles exchanged worried glances. Prince Alaric burst in, eyes burning. He said, "Speak treason to my face, Kaelan." Kaelan smiled thinly, his cloak sweeping the floor. "I serve only the kingdom, not a crown corrupted." Alaric's voice thundered, "You wear loyalty as a mask." Elias stepped forward, his hand gripping his blade. "Enough lies." The air crackled with tension, as friend and foe blurred within the same walls. The throne stood silent as storm winds rattled the stained glass. Prince Alaric ascended the steps, his hand trembling against the carved armrest. He whispered, "If they see me as a monster, then let them kneel before one Datsha." The shadows thickened, embracing him as though alive. Lord Kaelan's whisper carried from the council's edge. "The Dark Prince takes his throne." Elias's face paled as he watched his friend sink deeper. Lady Selene lowered her gaze, her tears falling. Master Eldrin closed his eyes in sorrow, knowing the curse was now fully awake. The kingdom's fall began in that single moment. The battlefield stretched across the valley, smoke rising where fires had already claimed villages. Prince Alaric stood at the front lines, his eyes shadowed but unyielding. He shouted, "We fight not for mercy but survival." Elias drew his sword, standing at his side. "Then I will fight until my last breath." Lord Kaelan rallied soldiers behind him, voice sharp. "Obey the prince, for his will is our fate." Master Eldrin whispered an incantation, staff glowing faintly. Lady Selene stood among the archers, her silver gown hidden beneath armor. The kingdom clashed in chaos as steel rang against steel. Amid the clash, Elias fought with relentless fury. He cried, "For Alaric and the kingdom." Blades struck his armor, yet he pressed on, cutting down enemies with grim resolve. Prince Alaric turned to him, shouting, "Hold the line, Elias." Blood streaked the ground, and soldiers faltered. Elias pushed forward, blocking a spear meant for his prince. His breath came ragged, but he smiled faintly. "You will not fall while I stand." Alaric's heart twisted as he saw his companion bleed but refused to yield. The chaos roared, yet their bond burned brighter than the battlefield's flames. From the ridge, the guardian appeared once more, its antlers glowing with fierce light. Master Eldrin lifted his staff, chanting words of ancient power. He said, "Protect the balance, even if it takes me." The guardian's eyes burned, echoing the curse bound to Alaric. Prince Alaric cried, "Do not sacrifice yourself." Eldrin's voice steadied. "Without sacrifice, there is no salvation." The staff split with light as Eldrin struck it to the earth. The guardian roared, sending shockwaves that tore through enemy ranks. Eldrin's body weakened, his last strength poured into the spell. His final words whispered, "Forgive me." Amid the ruins of battle, Prince Alaric faced Lord Cailan. Cailan drew his sword slowly, his smile sharp as a blade. He said, "The kingdom deserves a leader unbroken by shadow." Alaric snarled, "And you are no leader, only a serpent in silk." Their swords clashed, sparks flying as steel rang in fury. Elias stumbled forward, shouting, "Do not let him twist the crown from you." Cailan struck with precision, every blow meant to expose Alaric's weakness. Alaric cried, "I will not bow to treachery." The clash echoed across the broken field, a duel of crown and ambition. Blood stained the earth as silence followed the storm of steel. Prince Alaric stood trembling, his sword dripping, while Cailan fell to his knees, clutching his chest. Cailan whispered, "You wear the crown, but darkness wears you." His body collapsed into the mud. Alaric stared at his reflection in the blade, eyes blackened by the curse. Elias collapsed behind him, struggling for breath. "Do not lose yourself," he rasped. Lady Selene rushed forward, tears falling. "You are still the man I love," she cried. Alaric dropped his sword, whispering, "Then why do I feel less than human?" The battlefield quieted, broken banners swaying in the cold wind. Prince Alaric stood at the center, his sword planted in blood-soaked earth. He whispered, "This is the kingdom I swore to save." Elias groaned from where he lay, clutching his wounds. "You still can," he rasped. Lady Selene rushed to his side, tears streaking her dirt-stained face. "Alaric, you are not lost." The dark fire in his eyes wavered as her voice pierced the shadows. He clenched his fists, torn between the curse and the love surrounding him. Above them, lightning split the clouds, as if the heavens demanded his choice. Prince Alaric strode into the throne room, footsteps echoing like thunder. Nobles rose in fear as his shadow stretched across the chamber. He declared, "This kingdom will obey or burn." Gasps rippled through the court. Lady Selene cried, "Alaric, listen to yourself." His eyes glowed faintly, curse consuming him. Master Eldrin's voice echoed from memory, "Strength is not freedom from fear, but the will to stand despite it." Alaric's voice trembled with rage. "They will not take my crown." Nobles fell to their knees, torn between loyalty and terror. The hall itself seemed to quake with his fury. Master Eldrin's voice carried from the great hall, his staff glowing faintly though his body weakened. He said, "Alaric, the curse binds you, but it is not you." Prince Alaric turned, fury clashing with grief. "You condemned me to this fate." Eldrin's tone cracked. "I gave you the chance to rise above it." Elias staggered forward, bloodied but unbroken. He shouted, "You are more than the shadow." Lady Selen's voice joined, "You are the man I love, not the darkness." Alaric's hands shook, torn between their voices and the whisper within him. His choice hovered like a blade above them all. The final clash erupted in the hall, as shadows engulfed Prince Alaric. He roared, striking at unseen enemies within his mind. Elias ran to him, shouting, "Do not give in." Selene grasped his arm, her tears burning his skin like fire. "Come back to me, Alaric." He dropped to his knees, sword clattering against the stone. The curse screamed through his veins, black veins crawling across his face. Master Eldrin raised his staff one last time, voice breaking, "Fight for who you are, not what you fear." Alaric's breath came ragged as light and shadow battled within him. Silence fell as the storm outside faded. Prince Alaric rose slowly, his face pale, but eyes clear. The shadow burned away. He whispered, "The curse is broken, but the kingdom is lost." Lady Selene sobbed, pressing her forehead to his chest. Elias leaned against a pillar, bleeding but smiling faintly. "You chose light," he said. Master Eldrin collapsed, staff falling from his hand. His final breath carried a faint smile. The hall echoed with emptiness, as nobles stared in awe. Prince Alaric looked to the shattered throne and whispered, "Let history call me what it will. I am no prince now.